Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, where we stopped in the last session. The last session we discussed about how to handle the exceptions, right? In Python, how we can handle the exceptions. Let me ask some questions. After that, we can move forward. Yeah. Now, in Python, each and every exception is a every exception. Every exception is a class, right? That's all. Every exception is like a class. So whenever you raise an exception, internally what happened? For example, if I write like print 10 by 0, internally what happened? 10 by 0. The exception raised or not raised? 10 by 0, exception raised or not raised?
Raise
Exception
it, sir.
raised. Whenever the exception raised, okay, who raised that exception? Who raised? Who raised? You raised or okay, Python people raised this exception. Who raised?
Python raised.
Right. Okay. Who raised? Python people by default. Some of the exceptions raised by the Python people only. Okay. Whenever they raise an exception, internally what they did, they have some set of predefined. Okay, if you divided any number by 0, this is the exception you have to raise. If one variable is not available, name error. If it is like value, if you not pass properly, then the value error. Okay, like that, my Python people already have some set of exceptions or not. Whenever the number is divided by 0, already my Python people, okay, already added one exception class for this particular statement or not. What is that exception class? The exception class is what? Zero division error is my exception class or not. My Python people only raised the exception. Okay, which exception they raised? Zero division error or not? In the Python programming language, any number divided by 0, already Python people, okay, written some code to raise an exception. Which kind of exception? Zero division error. Zero division error is which type? Zero division error is which type?
Class type.
Class type. In your hand or Python people hand, one class is there. What they can do? In your hand or Python people has one class. What they can do?
Create object.
They create an object or not. Create an object or not. Okay, once they created an object, okay, once they created an object, Python people create an object, okay, they not keep that object with them, okay, they throw that object or not. They throw that exception or not. See, these many steps who taken care? Python people only. Whenever as a developer you written the code, the number divided by 0, Python people raise an exception. Okay, so how they raise it? First, they find one class for this particular exception or not. Which class is suitable for this? Zero division error. Like this, how many classes are there? Like this, how many classes are there? So many classes are there, right? So many exception classes are there. So first Python people find the exception class or not. Once they find the exception class, what they did, they create an object for that particular class. They create an object. Once they created an object, that object they not keep with them, they throw that exception object or not. Okay, they throw that object. Okay, how they throw? If you want to throw, we have, okay, one keyword is there. Raise is the keyword. Raise is nothing but you have to raise the exception. You have to throw an exception. You have to raise an exception. Once they raise an exception, what you have to do? You have to handle that exception or not. Handle that exception or not. This is the procedure they followed. Whenever you written some statement, okay, that statement is not okay. Proper way you written is nothing but one number divided by 0. It's not a valid statement actually. It's like a syntactically it's okay, but it's not like a valid statement right runtime. So what my Python people did for that particular statement, find a appropriate exception class. How many classes are there? So many classes are there. Python people find one suitable exception class for that particular statement, to this particular statement. Who find? Python people. Once they find that exception class, what they did? The next step. Once they find an exception class, the next step, what they did?
They create an object.
They create an object. For which class? They create an object for which class? Which
For
class?
exception class.
To that class only. In this case, zero division error class, they create an object or not. Once they create an object, that object is not keep with them, they raise an exception or not. Okay, they throw that object. They throw that object. They throw is nothing but they raised an exception. Once they raised an exception, if you not handle, my program terminated like a abnormal. Program terminated as like an abnormal. Okay, but if you want to terminate it like normal, you have to handle that exception or not. This is the developer work using try catch finally, try expect finally. You can handle that exception or not. Yes or no? Up to you, okay? Come on. This is the procedure who followed. This procedure who followed.
Python.
Python people follow, right? Python people follow. For example, if I write this statement, what happened? If I
Name
write
We'll
error.
get name error access.
name error, right? Name error. Okay, tell me first. To that particular exception, they find like one exception class. Okay, suitable exception class, they find it. What is that exception class? Name error. So once you have the class, what they did? Create an object. Once they create an object, that object they keep with them or they throw it.
They throw it.
Okay, that means they raise an exception or not. They raise an exception. Once they raise an exception, as a developer, what you have to do? You have to handle that exception or not. If you not handle exception, that is like terminated like abnormal. Okay. Now I have one statement is there where okay a is equals to minus 100 or minus 10. Exception raised or not raised? A is equals to minus 10. Exception raised or not raised? Come on, think more. Exception raised or not raised?
Raised.
Huh?
Programmatically not raised, but we have to
Right.
raise.
See, Python people, they don't know what is this is and what is this minus 10. Okay, they don't know. They treated this one like a variable name. They treated this one like a variable value. Variable name equals to variable value. It's like 100% valid syntax, right? Yes or no? 100% valid, right? This is. But as per my business rule, age should not be negative or not. Yes or no? As per my business rule, age should not be negative. Now tell me, is there any exception class, appropriate exception class like, okay, age negative error, that kind of exception class is there? Do we have any that kind of exception class?
No, sir.
No, right? No, right? First of all, exception raised or not raised for this particular statement by default?
By default, it won't raise.
Not raised. But as per my business rule, okay, this is not the valid. Yes, should not be negative. No one says is like negative. That the reason what you have to do? How the Python people in the past raised some exceptions. Same like this, as per your business rule, can you raise your own exception? Can you create your own exception? Can you raise it? Yes or no? Come on. Can you create your own exception class? Can you raise it? Okay. Now, if I write something like this, if I write something like this, a is equals to minus 10, print my age is, okay. Is it valid syntax or invalid syntax? Is it like valid or invalid? Okay,
Well,
invalid. Okay, here, can you convert this one? I'm using concatenation. That the reason convert your integer into string. It is valid syntactically and I will get the output also. My name, my age is minus 10. But as per my business rule, is it valid statement or invalid statement? As per my business rule,
invalid statement.
valid, right? If it is like invalid, as per development, okay, as per your business rule, it is invalid. As per Python, it's valid or invalid?
Valid, sir.
Valid, right? Create a variable, print that variable. It is 100% valid, right? But as per my business rule, it's not valid. That's the reason. In this case, Python people can raise the exception or not raised.
They
Do we
won't
have any
raise.
suitable error? Suitable error is there? No, right? So that my Python people, they just treated this one like a normal statement, the variable with some value, just he printed that particular variable value, that's it. Okay, but as per your business rule, this is invalid. That's the reason. Can you create your own exception? Can you create your custom exception? Can I create or not? First of all, already predefined exception classes are there. Tell me some exception classes. Name error, zero division error, value error, like this. Some of the exception classes are there. So those are like exception classes who created Python people. So same like this, can you create your own exception class? How you can create your own exception class? Class, okay, is error. Can I write like this? Any problem? Can I write like this? Any problem? Yes or no? Now, do you think this is like an exception class? The name is like is error. Is it like an exception class? Is it like a normal class?
It is a normal class.
Like a normal class, right? When it is turned to be like an exception class, when it is behaving like same name error, the next one is like what? Come on, name error, the next one, value error, the next one, zero division error. These all are like what? Exception classes, right? Okay, now just check. My name error, my name error is an exception class. Yes or no? Is an exception class. Okay, now this particular name error has how many members? There are multiple members or there or not. Add note or name with the track trace, okay, with the trace back like this. Multiple members are there. That's all. If you want to create your age error, that age error also should have these methods or not. Yes or no? Then only, right? It is behaving equally, behaving like existing exception classes. Yes or no? Now my question is, name error, value error, zero division error, Is it like inherited from any other classes? Is it like inherited from any other classes? Is it like inherited from any other classes? How you can come to know one class is inherited from another class? Now my class is what? Name error dot base. Name error dot base. If you use this magic method base, you can get the base class of your class. Okay, now value error also there. Who is the base for this? Who is the base? 0 ever is there, base underscore underscore. Okay, now arithmetic error base, if you observe exception. Observe here you can see the hierarchy. If you observe here, exception class is like what? A super class in your Python or not? For all exception classes, directly or indirectly, who is the parent? Name error, direct parent is what? Exception. Zero division error, direct parent what? Arithmetic.
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic error parent who?
Exception.
Directly or indirectly, each and every exception class is like a children to my exception class or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If it is only the statement, your class also should extend from there then. Should inherit from where then?
Exception.
Exception class or not. Then only it is equally work like your name error. Okay. Now, if you come here, if I write like dir of A's error, okay, here nothing. Can I write like print A's error. Now, if you come here, do we have any members, exception related members? Do we have? No, right? No, right? First of all, it is like a normal class. When it is turned to be like an exception class, if my class is extends from which class? Exception. Whenever my class is extends from exception class, now the exception class members inherited into A's error. Now my A's error has some exception related members or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Up to here, okay. Okay. Now this A's error is what? Exception class or not? Yes or no? Now that step 2, find an exception class. Yes. Okay, find an exception class. Tell me, what is my exception class now?
Yes,
Zero error, name error, A's error.
A's error.
A's error.
Exception class is what? A's error. A's error is which type?
Class type.
Class type. Yes, per. Okay, our statement also, it should be a class. You have to do what?
Create object.
Create an object for which exception class? A's
A's
error.
error.
So when you want me to create an object, okay, you can create an object. When you want to use it, we'll see. For now, can I create an object for that? Okay, how we can create an object? Like this. Yes or no? Okay. Now I created an object also. Once you created an object, okay, after that, don't keep that object with you. You have to raise an exception with that exception object or not. So how we can raise? Okay, I can raise by using one of the keyword called as a raise or not. One of the keyword called as a raise. By using raise, I can, okay, throw my own exceptions. I can raise my own exceptions or not. I can raise my own exceptions. Okay, I can raise my exception. Okay, if you want to throw your own exception, then you can go with what? Raise is the keyword. Got my point? If you want to throw your own exception. Now, whenever you raise an exception, Okay, my exception raised means if you not handle, it is like abnormal terminated or not. You want me to raise directly, you want me to raise at the time of my age is like minus, and that means negative one. Then you want me to raise an exception.
When
the
it is
time of
negative,
When my age is less than 0, then I want to raise which exception? My age error exception or not? Yes or no? You raised an exception. If you not to handle that exception, then what happened? Is my program terminated like normal or abnormal?
abnormally.
Yeah,
abnormal.
abnormal termination. So that all the statements will not execute, it raises an exception or not. See this, okay? It raises an exception, okay? Is error. My line number 8 executed or not executed?
Not executed.
Not
That
executed.
means the exception, okay, what happened here? That means the exception raised, but that exception you not handled or not. Now tell me, here two parts you can see. One is like your exception class name. Another one is like your exception message, right? Yes or no? Now I want the message. Tell me, whenever you raise an exception, if you want to give some message to that particular exception, in this particular statement, where is the scope to add that message? Where is the scope to add that message? Here is the one, right? Yes or no? So can I add some message? Is should not negative. Yes or no? This is my exception message. If I run this, now see age error, age should not negative. See this in the past, if you see here, okay, name error. If you come to this, there is that errors. Yeah. Now, if you see this, age error, age should not negative. It is equal to my value error, type error, and name error and zero division error only or not. Yes or no? Come on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the exception raised, right? Exception raised, right? Can we handle that exception? How we can handle that exception? The problematic statement can you write inside the try block? This is my problematic statement or not? Yes or no? Whenever the exception raised, okay, now which block it is looking for? Expect block, it is looking for that. Okay, now if you run this, now say this, my expect block executed, my age is -10. Still, okay, there is not, okay, there is not the exception message. Okay, the final output is not like a proper meaning, right? Not having the proper, okay, meaning here. See this, my age is -10. It's not right, okay, not like a correct statement, right? Yes or no? You raised an exception, you handled that exception, my program terminated like normal only, but the statement is not valid. Why? Because age should not be negative, right? Then what you want me to do? Then what you want me to do? First of all, this expect block, I don't want, the message I want. Then how you can get the message? How we can get the message? Tell me, the expect block 3 syntaxes yesterday we discussed. Expect directly like this, it's a default one. Expect a specific error. You can write like this. You can write like this. This is also valid. If you want that exception object reference, what you created, that object reference, if you want, you can get that reference or not. Yes or no? That reference, can I, instead of expect block, can I print that? Okay, now if you run this, now see the exception message is what? Age should not be negative or not? Age should not be negative. Yes or no? Come on, age should not be negative. Okay, still my age is like -10. This is not the valid. Whenever the exception raised due to negative age, can you do one thing? Okay, instead of -10, can you reset the age is like 0 in the expected block? Can you reset that age is like 0? Now age should not be negative. At least my age is like 0. It is like somewhat meaningful sentence only. Okay, meaningful statement only. My age is like 0. That's okay, right? Yes or no? Instead of negative, this is like this is like what? Correct statement only or not? Comparing with that, or you can put like 1 minimum. So here you raised an exception. So it is looking for the expect block with a specific error, age error you written, otherwise default also you can go. And here I reset my age is like 0. Why? Because this exception raised in the age error because of what? Negative age only, so that you can reset that age to 0. Now you can write what? Okay, as usual, my age is like something like this. Yes or no? Agreed with me? Go on. Now this is like handle a specific exception. Now can I write like expect who is the parent for all the exceptions? Exception, right?
Exception.
Okay. If I write like this, is it valid syntax or invalid syntax? Is it like valid or invalid? Go on. Age should not be.
It's valid.
Age should not be negative. Now can you come here? Okay, first yesterday's discussion, you can go with this. Now if I write like this, valid or invalid?
It's
Invalid.
invalid.
It is like invalid. Why? Because default expect block must be in the lost. Must be in the lost. Now here if I write like this, why it is valid? Can anyone guess? Here you created an object for which class?
Daily class.
Age error. Now it is looking for which class in the expect block? Age error. Is there or not there?
Not there.
No, here age error is there or not there? Yes, there.
Is there.
Yeah. So that block is going to execute or not. For example, okay, if I write like name error here, what happened? Name error here, what happened?
It's going to show X.
Name error, then what happened? Age should not be negative and my age is this one. So which block executed? Which block executed? Which block executed? Exception block, right? Why exception block executed? Why exception block executed?
As we didn't had any.
Go on.
I think because it's a parent class.
Yeah, it is a parent class, right? It is like a parent class or not? It is like a parent class or not? Yes or no? If it is like a parent class, then that time it's a super class, right? If it is like a super class, okay. Now, whenever you raise an age error exception, if the age error is not there, then that time it's directly, okay, who is the responsible person? My parent is the responsible person or not? My parent is like a responsible person or not? Yes or no? Agreed or not?
Yes.
All are okay. So this is the way you can create what? This is the way you can create what? Your own exceptions or not? Your own exceptions. Any question?
Sir, I have a doubt here.
Yeah.
In the try block, after the raise, if we try to print something, that statement won't be executed, right?
Yeah, obviously, right? The exception raised here means it should not execute. If I write like this, it should not execute. So you can
I
write
thought
something.
like yesterday, I thought like if we raise something, the rest of the program won't be executed. I was thought like that.
Yeah,
But
whenever
we,
the statement raises an exception in the try block, remaining statements will not execute. It's directly looking for which block? Directly
Exception.
looking for which block?
Expect.
Expect block or not? Expect block, and based on what? Okay, here also you have to maintain the hierarchy. Okay, parent, okay, child to parent. It is looking for what? It is looking for that respect. Okay, that is suitable class, you can say. Yes, error is there or not there. If it is there, okay, then that time that one is going to execute. But here the statement will not execute. Why? Because the program is like that. That means the try block is like terminated from here whenever the exception raised.
Okay. So it only terminates the try block, not the entire
Oh
program.
yeah, only terminates the try block. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
when it is terminated, the entire program means if you not handle with this try and expect, then the time it's terminated, abnormal termination. But here you handle it, right? That's the reason line number 15 executed or not executed now?
Executed, sir.
Executed,
Yeah.
right? Why? Because you handle that exception. If try and expect blocks are not there, line number 15 will not execute. Okay, the program terminated like what? Abnormal, right?
Yeah. Got it, sir.
Okay. Now here, if you want to add something more, here this is the one. The exception. This is what? EX is what? EX is an
Object.
object of is error, right? In the object, multiple variables and methods are there. One of the variable is like args is there or not there? Args. Yes or no? What it is printed? The args. Args. What it is printed? Age should not negative or not. Yes or no? For example, if you add something, okay, some value, age should be positive like this. Now, if you come here, now see, what do you think about the args? What do you think about the args?
Whatever we are providing.
Whenever the exception raised, you created an object for the exception class while calling, okay, while creating an object, how many parameters you passed, those many, okay, parameters you can get it through or call by calling this variable args or not. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Got my point?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is like what? The next one is like add notes or something. We have one more method, right? You add notes. Yes or no? Here, add note. What is this add note? Okay. If I write like name, there or not there for this attribute is error has no attribute name. Okay. Name it is not having. That's okay. Okay, the next one is like add underscore note. It takes some parameters, right? Yes or no? Add underscore note. It's like a method. If I call it, then that type it is gives me an error. Add underscore note takes exactly how many arguments? One argument or not? One argument or not? So that to this, I'm going to write like add underscore note. Okay, node 1. Now add ex. Okay, not here. Can I write here? Add underscore node. Okay, node 2. It's like a valid syntax or invalid syntax. You can check it first. Okay, unexpected indentation. Unexpected indentation. That's okay, right? Now, if you come here, okay, see, there is no error, nothing. Now, can I print my exception? If I print my exception, what happened here? What happened here? If I print my exception, what happened here? A should not be negative and A should be positive. My A is like this, but this note, add underscore note, okay, we don't have, right? Okay, this is for just add the note, but I want to get the notes. I want to get whatever you added, I want to get that note. Then that time what we have to do? Then that time what we have to do? Add underscore note, just it is used for add some notes to this particular exception. That's okay. Okay, I added the note. That's okay. Now here, if you want to get that note, can I get it? Add note. Okay, it is a method. It is expecting like one parameter. Okay, this is for what? Just if you want to add the note, you can add it. But my question is, whatever you added, just I want to see that. Whatever you added, okay, just I want to see that notes. Then how we can? Whatever we added the notes, just I want to see it. Okay, as like a notes, okay, some extra information if you want to give to that particular exception, okay, then how we can? In that case, now see, A's error from where it is inherited. A's error from where it is inherited.
From exception.
Exception. How many methods inherited into my A's error?
All the methods.
Okay, few methods, not all the methods. One of the method is like what? Add notes. There are not there. Yes or no? So if I write something like this, this is which kind of concept in OOPS?
Overriding.
Overriding. Perfect. Okay, whenever you call, okay, exception is an object of A's error. Whenever you call add node, now this is executed in the A's error exception class, exception class add node.
Age error.
Yes.
error.
Okay. So this is which kind of method? Instance method, right? If it is like instance method, by default, what we have? They are going to pass your current class object or not. Yes or no? Your current class object. The next one is like your message, right? Your notes or whatever it is. Yes or no? Now, if you come here, it is not gives me any error. It is not gives me any error. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if you pass these notes, can you maintain all the notes? Okay, not only one, multiple times I'm calling. That means multiple values I want to hold. I want to save. I want to keep somewhere. How you want me to hold multiple values?
List.
List. Where you want me to write?
So second argument I can pass it like a list.
Second argument you want me to pass where?
We can take one instance variable in the A's error.
Yeah, one instance variable you can take it, right? Yes or no? So where you want me to write that instance variable? Can I write like this? My
No.
is equals to something like this. Can I write
No.
it?
You init insert it.
Okay, if I write like this, then what happened? Can I write like this? Self dot notes. Okay, dot append of message. It's valid or invalid? Is it like valid or invalid?
It's
Valid,
valid.
sir.
Okay, it is like valid, right? Okay, how many times the values are like appended to these nodes? Two values, right? Two values are appended or not? Yes or no? Now, if I print my exception, will it reflect anything? Just you can check it. Okay. Will it reflect anything? Okay, so far no, right? A should not positive. Okay. Now what we have to do? The next step. The
EX
next
dot
step.
try to
Second,
print EX dot notes.
EX dot nodes. Okay, if I write like this, ex dot nodes. If I write like this, then what happened? Okay, note 1, note 2 printed. Okay, note 1, note 2 printed, that's okay. Okay, but I want in the stringified format. Okay, not like exact the list, just I want like a stringified format, I want to print it. Then how we can give the class object value like stringified format? How we can? Whenever I print like a class object, okay, I want like on stringified format. Can I do duplicate? Go to this. Now what I'm asking is, I have a class A is there, okay? Okay, na? Obj equals to A. Print of obj, what it's going to give? Okay, something like this. Okay, one value you are getting or not, it is an object of which class? A class or not? Now my question is, whenever you create an object for that class, if you print an object, I don't want that memory address, okay, that whatever the address you have, that location, okay, some formatted value you can get it, but I don't want this formatted value, I want like something, okay, string A object like that I want. A object like that I want. In that case, okay, you can go with one of the magic method called as str. Okay, now here, can you return some value A class object? If I write like this, then what happened, you can check. A str takes 0 position argument, but 1 was given. That means somebody is calling, I'm not the person to call, somebody is calling or not, yes or no? Okay, who is calling? You are not the person means who is calling? Python people calling. They call by passing how many parameters? How many values they passed? 1. But you hold that one value, not hold. You not hold. Which value that is? If it is like instance, that is like self, right? Now if you come here, now what happened? Come on. I tried to print an object. If this is not overridden, the str, by default, it gives me what? Address representation with some format. Okay, main, A class, that object, that address, location name, and everything. That's okay. But my question is, I don't want that particular, okay, address, location, some formatted value I don't want. I want my own value while printing an object of that particular class. In that case, which method you have to override? Which method you have to override? Come on.
str method.
Str underscore underscore str underscore underscore. This method you have to override. Understood? Come on.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
whenever you override this method, you can get your own value or not. Now come to this. Here also you are printing what? Here also you are printing what?
The object
Object of which class?
is error.
Is error. Now if I write underscore underscore str underscore underscore, okay, self, okay, if I write like return is error object. If I write like this, then what happened? It gives me is error object or not? Yes or no? That means you overridden, right? You overridden or not? Underscore underscore str underscore underscore in your class. I don't want to, okay, I don't want to get this message. I want this nodes information. Okay, I want this actual exception related information. All this stuff I want. Then how? Come on. Then how? Okay, first question. If this one is commented, which str method is going to execute? Which class str method is going to execute? Underscore, underscore, str, underscore, underscore.
Exception class.
Exception class. Now if I come here, okay, now see, in the exception class str has this value or not? Yes or no? Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now my first question is, here I want that exception class str method, whatever the value they written, that value I want first. Now, what is the error? What is the message you can get? Is error object.
Error
I
object.
don't want is error object. My exception class str method return some value, right? That value I want first. How we can get it?
By using self.
Self is always pointing to current class, but I want which class?
Parent.
Exception.
Super
Parent.
class, right? Yes or no? In Python, if you want the super class reference, super class object, you can get it. All the super class object, you can get it. Once you get the super class object, which method you want me to call?
Str.
Okay, now the output should be this one or not? Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Not only this, I want this nodes also. Not only this, I want this nodes also. Then, whenever he
We can-
printed exception, I want the nodes also. Then, come on, here, simply I want the nodes. Yeah.
Can we pass that as a argument?
How we can pass as an argument? I have a list. I have a list. That list I want, okay, in the string format. Come on, the list I want in the string format. How we can? We have which method is there? Join one method is there, right? Join. What do you want me to join?
Our nodes.
All the nodes, huh? All the nodes. What you can get it? Can you check it? Okay, this is your information. You can format how you want. And your nodes 1 and your nodes 2 also you can get it or not. If you want in the second line, okay, then
/n.
can I use /n?
Yeah.
/n is not working.
/n.
Which one? It is like a string, just okay, maybe my editor problem, maybe. Okay, this is not okay, we can check it. Okay, it should work right here. /n is not printed, right? Okay,
Yeah.
now if you see here, you get your super class, whatever you have in the super class str, that value get it. At the same time, your nodes also you can get it. Now, whenever you printed the exception object, just you can get all the information about the exception, including the nodes or not. Like this, if you want to add some nodes to your exception, you can add it. Understood, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you know about the args, exception.args, you know. The next one is like what? The next one is like the add underscore node. There has one more method also there. What is that method? With traceback. With traceback. Okay, this method we'll see in the next session. Okay, how it's going to work, we'll see. But simply, if you want to create one custom exception, what steps you have to follow means write a class. That class should inherit from exception class or not. That class should inherit from exception class. Okay, if you want to override your, as I said, the add nodes method, you can override it. If you don't want to override anything, the exception class members is going to execute or not. Yes, or that is also okay. Now, once you have your own custom exception class, you have to create an object and you have to throw it. How you can throw? By using which keyword we can raise an exception? Raise is the keyword or not? Raise is the keyword. You can raise an exception. Once you raise an exception, that exception raised by you or the exception raised by some other people, okay, you have to handle that exception using try and expect blocks. Just you can handle that exception. Okay, exception object, if you, any object, not only exception object, if you try to print any object, okay, any object, if you try to print it, default, it's showing like a specific format like this. If you want to override that particular object, okay, value, which method you have to override in the class? Underscore underscore str underscore method you have to override it or not. Whatever this method written, that is only your object value once you override it. Okay, now. So no. Any questions, anyone? Up here, okay. How to handle, how to create your own exceptions and how to raise it.
Yes, sir, very good.
So that's okay, fine. So anyone written that program? JavaScript, not Python program I want. Okay, it's a simple only. Get this output 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is not there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Using continue keyword. Okay, so for I in range, you can take it I equals to 5. Whenever I equals to 5, okay, don't print it, just you can continue it. Okay, so working as expected. Now the value, that's okay. You are using range. Okay, the next one is like yeah, it's okay. Okay, once this 30 completed, okay, next month, Jan 1st onwards, you can go to the write test. Okay, now in the write test, next level programs are available. Okay, write test and your post, both you can write. Go to the write test and go to your post also. Okay, write test and your post, both you can write it. Okay, Jan 1st onwards. Okay, you can see the Python program here, for now not added, but you can see. And your post program, you can go to the Python. Okay, here you can see the program. You can go to your post. Here you can see the program and you can comment it. Okay, you can comment it. Okay, at this moment we don't have, but Jan 1st onwards, you can write the programs in the write test and your post also. Okay, na? For now, just you can complete in the Kalam schools next 5 days.
So till Jan 1st, we don't have session.
No, we have the sessions. Okay, but we move to the next level, right? Okay, Python core and advanced completed. We go with the web development. We are going to write some endpoints using Django, Flask, and data analytics. You can go with the pandas and NumPy, all this stuff we are going to start. Okay. Any questions, anyone? So you can go through uijavakit.com. You go to Python. These are all completed, right? Coding intersection, name, convention, variables, data types, operators, input and output, control structures, functions, and strings, range, list, tuple set, dictionary, and oops concepts, and str method. Just now we discussed. Okay, exception handling. Now it's going on. Modules completed, regular expressions not yet complete, packages, and how to create our own libraries, multi-threading, and file management and logging. Okay, up to here. After that, we can go with DB connection, data visualization, NumPy, and pandas, and then web. Okay, with Flask, Django, and FastAPI also we are going to create some endpoints and we can consume those endpoints from front end. How to? We'll see that. Okay. So to complete all this, maybe 1 week is going to take, and then we are going to start with database connections and everything. Okay, from up to here, you can say core and advanced Python. Okay, from here, it's like web related. Okay, database management and data visualization, NumPy, pandas, and remaining Flask, Django, and FastAPI. Okay. This 1 week you completed means you are able to write any logic in Python. Okay, so that try to write the programs in the right test and your post. Okay. Okay then. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Bye.